We are into the last week of financial year 2023-24. Well, this year has been the year for mid cap and small cap. I would say yet another year for mid cap and small cap, and we have seen this rally coming in very strongly. The big players, probably the Nifty 50 has been underperforming by a bigger chunk against the mid cap and small cap. And we'll look at in this video, look at the highlights of how the index has performed. What are the top five Nifty 50 stocks, Nifty Next 50, mid cap, small cap, and I'll give you in the end one interesting seasonality analysis, which you should definitely look at when we are trading into the last week of the financial year. Well, last week of the financial year is a bit tricky. Mutual fund performance is on cards with the end of 31st March of every financial year. Uh, Income tax entries, or probably I would say the portfolios churning for income tax benefits, is there on the in the last week of the financial year. Interestingly, this year we have a truncated week, being Monday off, being Friday off. We have a truncated week of trading for the 3 days. So it will be very much important how to look at how we enter into these week. But a seasonality analysis shows an interesting stats for the last week of the financial year. And generally what people do is just to save the short term gain or the long term gain, people square up their positions by the first week of or the first trading day of the April in the next financial year. Interestingly, last year what happened is people will be remembering, and I also know there are lots of people who have squared off their positions by the end of 26th, 27th of March. And since the April started, we started with the gap of and one way running into the mid caps and small caps. And those who are looking for a tax saving few percentage here and there, have in the end ended up with making more losses, or I would say the parity has been so much big that in case the amount which have been saved with the tax, they have paid into the markets as well, being into the giving the exit and entry differences. So these are the things one should definitely look at. So let's start with the interesting stats first. As I said this in video, beyond the big players, where the mid cap and small cap tramps in the financial year. So if I just start with the how the performance of indices have been in this year, Nifty Microcap 250 leading the table over here with 85%. So microcap this year has been for the microcaps, followed by small cap 50, which has been around 70% gain, small cap 100 with around 67, small cap 250 with around 60%. So all the small cap basket have been between 60 to 70%, and micro cap with 85%. Bang on. Mid cap leading the table with Nifty mid cap 100 index leading the table with around 57% over here. Mid cap 50 with around 57%. These are the, as I said, the tramps has been for the mid cap and small caps and even micro caps. Look at these numbers in this year, amazingly, and keeping in mind, if you have been investing into the mutual funds are on the verge of banging with the number of performance, especially in the mid cap and small cap, and one which have been investing into the flexi cap fund, where the shift between large cap, mid cap, small cap. These have been one of the outperforming into the mid cap and small cap. So those large caps mutual funds have been underperforming as compared to the mid cap and small cap funds. I would say sectorial. We'll look at the sectorial play as well, which sector has been gaining the top five and bottom five sectors of the year. But just looking at number, Nifty 50, bottom of the table with around 20% gain. Nifty 100, 31% gain. Nifty 200, 35% gain. Nifty 50, 37% gain. Look at the bottom four over here. Nifty 50, 100, 200, 500, bottom of the table over here. So yes, large cap have been missing this rally, and I believe probably this could be the year where Nifty large caps can outperform. Probably why I think, because generally this cycle turns into whenever we have seen the cycle has been there for around 2 to 3 years, and for last 2 to 3 years we have seen mid cap coming back very very strongly. So this is the just a overview of the indices, how they have performed in financial year. Now, if I just look at the top five sector and bottom five sector, one interesting thing, all the major sectors of Nifty or NSE, especially the listed indices, sectoral indices, have been in a positive. Bottom five with the media with around 8%, top five with realty over 100%, 125% leading the table, PSE 100%, CPSE 94%, PSU Bank 85%, Auto Index 71%. These are the five index, mid-sectoral index which have been leading the table. And the bottom five with media, private bank 13%, this year PSU has rocked by a big margin against the private banks, and one of the major underperformance of the private bank has been Kotak and HDFC Bank. HDFC Bank trading around 52-week lows have been major chunk of the underperformance of private banks. Again, Nifty Bank 15% gain, financial services 15%. So financials, private banks, these have been a drawback for the large players, especially keeping in mind we have around 30-35% of banking and financial into the Nifty 50 as well, which have been dragging or keeping the Nifty onto the lower side as compared to the mid cap and small caps. Nifty 50 stock wise, if I look at the performance over here, top five: Tata Motors, Bajaj Auto, Adani Ports, Coal India, and Hero Moto. Out of the top five, three have been from the auto sector. Look at 132 for Tata Motors, 130 for Bajaj Auto, Adani Ports 100%, Coal India 102%, Hero Moto 100%. If you have been following me on forum.define securities, at point in time we have been discussing laid back strategy for quite long on our forum, and those who have been following me for the laid back, I said after probably I guess 2017 or 18, I got Hero Moto buy into my laid back strategy, and it has been killing 100% for Hero Moto. When was the last you have seen Hero Moto been gaining 100%? I guess long time. Bottom five, Asian Paints underperforming, Kotak Bank, as I said, Kotak and HDFC have been the two banks which have been underperforming in the Nifty, especially keeping the private banks down over here. So HDFC Bank with 10% down, HUL with around 12% down, UPL with around 34% down. This has been bottom five for the Nifty 50. Even if you look at the next 50 over here, as I said, FMCG, if you look at the bottom five over here, sectoral indices, FMCG has been around 17% into the bottom five, and that has been led by HUL and Dabur. Look at the Dabur into the bottom five for next 50 with around -4%. Vedanta with around -1, Sri Cement -3, AWL with around -70. And the top five for Nifty next 50 is around Zomato, which have been gaining around 240%. Trent, which has been gaining around 187%. PNB, as I said, PSU have been rallying. Realty has been rallying. DLF leading the table with around 142%. HL in defense leading by around 130%. So this has been for Nifty 50 and Nifty next 50. But if I look at, as I said, mid cap and small cap has been gaining, and this year has been for the year of mid caps and small caps. Let's look at the mid caps 150 performance over here. IRFC, okay, leading the table, REC leading the table, RVNL leading the table, BAIL leading the table, PFC leading the table over here. And on the bottom five, we have Manevar, Navin Fluoro, Zeal, which is around 33% down, leading the media in the bottom over here with around 8% gain this year. So that is been of the sector index bottom of the table. Rajesh Exports into diamond with around -50%. Keeping in mind in small cap 250, BSC leading the table with around 400% gain. And this has been year for BSC. And interestingly, probably I guess last week or somewhere I've read into the articles that BSC has been into the bank X, or I would the bank Nifty expiry. I guess Tuesday is the one, or Wednesday, I don't remember the exact day. They have been largest trading volume onto the expiry day in the bank X, I guess. So they have been claiming those. I haven't checked the facts as of now. So just keeping in mind what I've read. So BSC leading the table with around 400 bets. Suzlon coming back very strongly with around 372% gain. Again, if you're following me on laid back strategy on forum.definedgesecurities.com, I have been sharing this Suzlon or one of the piece which I have shared there as well. So keep following me there on Definedge Securities forum page. Hudco leading the table with around 300%, MRPL with around 300%, IRCON with around 300%. So these have been top 5 into the small cap 250. Onto the bottom with Delta Corp, Campus, Sharda Corp, IIFL, and Polyplex, ranging between 30-33% over years. So this has been in the underperformer. One interesting fact which I want to highlight over here is the seasonality analysis of the last week of financial year. As I said, financial year, when the last weeks of financial year, mid caps come to show their performance, people looking for tax benefits, volatility. So this the last week has been volatile, and this week, this year we have week 13 being the last week of the financial. So it's range between 12, 13, and 14, sometimes here and there. So if I just look at down the table, if you look at the average performance for 13th week is around 1.4% positive. Average performance for since 1996 till 2023. So nearly 28 years of performance. If you look at nearly 3 decades of performance here, with positive around 68%. So which means that out of 28, 68%, nearly 19 years have been positive for week 13, and we are into the week 13 of this current year 2024. So I think probably we may see Nifty ending on a positive note, which means if we end on a positive, we are ending Nifty at the nearly all-time high, about 22,000 marks. So this will be one of the key interesting levels to watch out. And as I said, mid cap will keep probably mid cap may keep markets at the higher level, keeping at the performance of how the financial years have been there. So yes, keep for next 2 weeks the volatility may increase, and we have election this year. So probably I think next one, probably the next 1 week, I'll look at 1.5 month of volatility coming into ahead of elections, and weeks may see an uptick over there. So keep a watch on this. So this was an highlight of how this 2020, 2023 and 2024 financial has been played out. Clearly, the leaders have been, or I would say the winners have been, small cap and mid cap, and we have seen the stocks which have been the winner and stock which have been the loser into the respective indices. Signing off, Brijesh Bhatia.